I have a theory about this show called Game of Thrones and how each house acts exactly like their own animal. I think there's a major correlation between each house's sigil, like their animal that represents them, and the people within the house. I feel like there's a lot of similarities between the animals and the people. Because I find it pretty cool. I came up with a lot of these myself. It's pretty interesting. I got like pretty high one night when watching the show, and then I kind of made a few correlations with two of the houses, and I started thinking about it a lot deeper and deeper. And then I just found so many correlations between each other house that I kind of want to share with you guys in this video, because again, I find it's pretty interesting. The first house we have is House Stark. House Stark seems the most obvious with their infamous sigil, the Direwolf. Wolves or dogs are the most loyal animals out there, just like how Arya, Robb, Sansa, and Jon never betray anyone in the show. Wolves also love hunting, and it seems like in the show the Starks are always hunting someone. Robb Stark, he was hunting down the king. Initially, he didn't want to kill anyone else, although he was trying to go to war with them. You have Sansa, who has her paws all over King Joffrey. She's trying to make plans to eventually execute him. And we have obviously Arya Stark with her mini kill wish list that she kind of forges around the show, and she goes off hunting them down one by one as a wolf would, which is pretty interesting. And the final thing that distinguishes a Stark is at the end of the show they come back together to form a wolf pack in the final season. This is kind of symbolic because wolves are much stronger in a pack than they were if they were hunting alone. Um, and the key thing that makes them so strong is that because the wolves are so loyal and they form a pack together, they know everyone in the pack isn't going to be betraying anyone, so they don't have to be worried about that like other houses do. And that's what makes this house Stark so strong because of their loyalty to one another. Next we have is House Greyjoy. House Greyjoy is pretty cool. House Greyjoy has the Kraken as their sigil, which makes a lot of sense if you look at it, because Krakens are ugly and slimy creatures. No one's really gonna call a Kraken like the most prettiest creature. That's not really what they're known for. They're really known for being ugly and like slimy. Like Greyjoys, who aren't really known for their charm. Greyjoys have to be the ugly friend that can't conceive their actions and act unappealing. That's why Greyjoys pride themselves on how they steal and betray everyone. Because Greyjoys shine their indecency, whereas every other house kind of like conceives it or tries to hide it. In reality, all the houses are deceiving, manipulative, and slimy. They move. They move pretty low, and I honestly think this is to the Greyjoys' advantages because they just take whatever they want. It kind of makes sense because like they don't really have to spend too much time hiding their bullshit, and it's the fact that like the Greyjoys, they really don't care what people think. And like a Kraken who just steals ships in the sea, Greyjoys are just stealing and taking whatever land they can find. Next, we have my favorite house, House Lannister. I can make a video about why it's my favorite house and all that stuff I can get into, but I'll just talk about the relationship between House Lannister and the Lions in this video. So House Lannister is a house I originally thought acted like lions, and I found all these correlations that really started from this house. And then I expanded on. So this is first thing is that like lions are entitled, proud pricks that are obsessed with power. Lions rather die than not be at the top of the food chain. They need to be the king of the jungle, which is why for the majority of the show, they actually hold the Iron Throne, which is pretty cool. Another point is that lions are the only cat family that lives in groups. Family is super important to these creatures, and that's why it's been emphasized so much in the show, how much the Lannisters care about family. You see Cersei talking about it all the time, family over everything. And it gets to a point where they love their family so much that they start ending up fucking each other. You may not know this, but a fact about lions is that the females are the hunters that kill the prey and provide for the pride, which is a group of lions. While the male lion roams around the land that they have and protect the cubs from oncoming predators. The relationship here is pretty cool. Yeah, as you see, like Cersei Lannister is always adamant about killing other houses before they get to them. She puts anybody who's a threat on her kill list immediately. That's how she works. She's just hunting all the houses down one by one, killing everyone, and only wanting the Lannisters to survive. On the other hand, we see Jaime Lannister, who's a Kingsguard, and he doesn't want to leave King's Landing ever. His need as a human, same as a male lion, is to protect his kids who are in King's Landing and hold the Iron Throne, which I find was pretty symbolic. The last point I have between Lannisters and Lions is kind of a stretch, but in a lion pride, there's usually one alpha male who kind of dominates the decisions and stuff and lead the pride. But oftentimes these alpha male get taken down really quick once the other lions sense that they're too old to lead. And the other lions will eventually take down the alpha lion. This is kind of symbolic because as Tywin Lannister, which is my favorite character in the show, gets too old and is getting to his deathbed, we see another lion kind of come in and kill him when he's too old, and that's Tyrion Lannister. I guess Tyrion didn't really do it to lead the pride and like try to take over the Lannisters, but I feel like that's kind of symbolic how the alpha lion dies from one of its own lions, just like how they usually die in the lion pride. House Baratheon and the Stag. These correlations aren't the most obvious when you first think about them, but I thought about it for a while and I came up with a lot. There's actually a lot of hidden stuff, and you kind of have to think a little bit deeper about this one. But there's quite a few, and I'll start with the first one. Deers are always being chased around, right? Making them a huge target. And when the show first started in season 1, who had the Iron Throne? It was a Baratheon, King Robert, right? This made them a huge target from the very beginning for other houses to plot against. Every house was literally looking for a way to chase around this deer. Deer's survival literally depends on them being hunted, as they can get super overpopulated. Because of this, other animals are able to act in the deer's interest rather than themselves. Just like in the show, everyone is manipulating a Baratheon in one way or another. You have Melisandre / the Lord of the Light manipulating Stannis. You have Marjorie manipulating Renly in the beginning of the show. And you have everyone running around manipulating King Robert. Like, he really doesn't, he's not a king. Deers aren't meant to lead, so when they get into this position of power, they really don't know what to do with themselves. You often hear the phrase a deer in headlights because they don't know what is going on. Like King Robert's council running around playing with him, leaving Robert blinded most of the time. Also, cool fact is that stags have these huge antlers, but they shed very quickly. This is pretty symbolic in the show because Baratheons make their crowns out of antlers, but like real antlers, their crowns shed really quickly, not holding the crown for long at all. And the last point I have is that stags or male deers are always found butting heads against each other, which is pretty telling to see all the Baratheon brothers fighting for the Iron Throne and butting heads all the time. House Tyrell and the Rose. Honestly, one of my favorite houses. I really like how they move and operate. They hide behind their beauty and they play with that. They use it to their advantage, which is really cool. You know, Tyrells aren't really famous for their big wars or having the greatest soldiers, but they're known for their massive weddings and their ability to marry into power, which I think is kind of funny. I feel like it's kind of cheating the game how you play it, but honestly, that just means they're smarter and they can outsmart anyone. That is kind of horny, I guess. You see Marjorie manipulating King Joffrey and the other king with her, I guess, her looks. That's the power of the Rose. It's like all you see. Looks can be deceiving, right? She's always has something up her sleeve. She's pretty smart. Even the grandma, you know, they have these great outfits. They talk in a certain way, which is very charming, but they always have a plan up their sleeves. A rose and a flower can be poisonous, which is pretty symbolic of how King Joffrey died. I don't want to really give any spoilers, but oh no, fuck it. King Joffrey died by poison, which can be taken out of a plant or a rose. And yeah, House Tyrell's pretty cool. The last house we have, everyone's favorite house, House Targaryen. House Targaryen and the Dragon. Honestly, when I first was thinking about the concept of this video, I really couldn't think about anything. Like, literally couldn't think about any correlation between Targaryens and a dragon, like how they move. Yeah, sure, fire and blood. Yeah, sure, Targaryens can't be burnt, but like, I was like, there really isn't like much going on. Like, I don't really know too much about dragons as well. Like, I can't find like how they interact with the other animals, because you know, like, they're not really a thing, right? And then it kind of hit me all of a sudden at once, like, I'm not supposed to know. And that's the thing that's going on for dragons and Targaryens, is that they're mysterious. I'm not supposed to know what's going on with them. It's all up to mystery. It's all up to like fiction. It's all up to like myths and stories. The whole show, how Daenerys moves around, she's going through city to city, doing unbelievable things that like no one has ever done before, freeing slaves, getting armies, having dragons, right? And everyone else who's not actually seeing Daenerys, they're hearing stories about her, you know, all these ridiculous things, you know, really she's gonna free slaves? Really, there's a woman commanding 8,000 soldiers? I really don't believe that. I wouldn't believe that if I was some regular civilian on the streets of King's Landing. I wouldn't believe that. Like how I wouldn't believe in dragons in real life. You know, that's the thing about them. They're super mysterious. Daenerys moves super mysteriously. No one knows like if she's real or not, which makes her so much more powerful because they can't really plan for her. Same as a dragon. You can't really plan for a dragon's attack. You kind of just have to take it for what it is. And I find that super cool. Like, and the show does it so super well. They leave these dragons, they leave Daenerys as a super big mystery until the end of the show, where their whole power, their whole being comes really into light, and you get to see it for what it really is with your own eyes, and actually have to believe it now. So yeah, that's pretty cool. That's my kind of takes on each house and how they act like their own animal. I hope you found it kind of interesting. I hope you kind of found you know, new ones that you didn't really expect, because I know a lot of these are kind of like, they might be basic, and I know this is how the author intended the show to be, but this is my own thoughts, paths of thinking that I kind of created when I was watching the show, and I kind of just want to share with you guys because I find it pretty cool. I hope you guys kind of enjoyed this type of video. Thanks for watching.